Well, hello, welcome back to Tail 3 Cabins. I used to always rent a brush hog from the rental store up on the corner from us, maybe about once or twice a year to kind of keep things at bay here. Since I got the tractor though, and I bought the brush hog to go along with it, I use that of course now. And I think I'm finally kind of break even with the cost of renting for the last couple of years, what it would have been to buying a brush hog now. So today is one of those days where I need to trim down the jungle. Why don't you check it out? Okay, before you start leaving your comments, I am going to adjust the back end. I'm going to lower that back wheel, but for now, I'm just going to run this little swap. But if you're looking back there, two things have to happen. I have to adjust my top link and extend that a little bit, and then I also need to bring the rear wheel down so it's going to glide on the ground a little better. I often wonder if I would have been better off with just a flail mower than using this brush hog. And the reason I say that is because this brush hog takes up a lot of room. It's a lot of weight. When I put it on a trailer, it takes up a lot of room in the trailer. And I think a lot of my uses would be just fine using a flail mower. Alright, making my adjustments here. So I'm letting out the top link, and then I'm going to have to adjust the rear wheel. For me, this is a good height compromise. It's still going to bottom out in certain areas, especially with the contour of our yard, but you can see it's even close now to bottoming out. Pretty much have one side done going down the driveway, and I just peruse it a little bit before I do the other side, looking for any large objects, rocks or bricks. That is a brick from almost 28 years ago. I had a bunch of these pavers and I put them in the driveway when I first started building the house, and I used them in the low spots before I put the stone down, and every now and then one pushes up from the ground. Not a good place for the camera woman, so I'm telling her to hang back because I really don't want anything flying out from the bottom. Unfortunately, this driveway, and maybe one day I will make it this way, but right now you just can't do this cut and dry, just go up and down in 2 swaths and be done. There's little imperfections, there's a little culvert area that you can't run over, there's some high spot, there's roots that stick up. A lot of times I end up having to back in or just do small sections at a time. Maybe one day I'll clean up these sides with the tractor and make it easier in the future. This is one thing that frustrates me, is when I have to turn around and look back, a lot of times my knee will drift over and I'll hit the ignition key. As my annual brush hogging, whether I needed it or not, it was about time. So I'm glad that project's over. I was able to also clear a little bit more on the other side of the pole barn so I can do some work over there in the near future. This time of year in August is also the time where we're harvesting everything out of the garden, and we were just hoping that we would get something before we went out west. And the garden did pretty well this year. We got another bumper crop of tomatoes. I really enjoy starting to make tomato sauce this time of year, and I was a little paranoid that we'd be out west and we wouldn't be able to harvest many tomatoes. We ended up getting quite a few. I really like this processor by Weston. It makes making tomato sauce so much easier. Before we used to boil it, take the skin off, and we'd still get seeds. But this, we could throw any tomatoes in there. Before we used to only use Roma tomatoes, but now I throw the cherry tomatoes in there. Any tomatoes that we have, I can just dice them up and throw them in there. It separates the skin, separates the seeds, makes it much, much easier for a nice tomato sauce. And where these scraps are coming in the bowl, we could run it through this processor 2 more times, get more juice out of it, and then the chickens like to eat it. This is also a chance to use other things from the garden, especially fresh basil. We were able to make about 3 gallons of sauce just before leaving for out west, so that worked out great. That's going to do it for this week. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out, and keep an eye on us. Everything's ready here on the dark side of the moon. Play the 5 tones.